I'm mistaken. Um, I obviously you mentioned this is a no hoper match with Balor, and maybe we should just like transition this to like Punk versus Roman talk, which I'd be definitely interested to see kind of what you think about it, because I saw the one promo they did, and the WrestleMania tickets ain't moving the fastest right now.
Hmm.
Um, I think we can kind of put the Balor. Well, let's put Balor away. I think we're both taking Punk pretty easy here.
Yeah,
But Punk Roman, this should be this is like one of their ace in the hole matches. You would think they, as I
absolutely.
mentioned earlier, this company moves at a glacial pace primarily because they don't want to beat anybody. And there's a reason Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns isn't happening this year. Um, so now with Punk and Roman, yeah, I feel like you give Punk what he wants, which is that day 2 main event, and I feel like he's laying it down for Roman. What do you think about this overall feud?
Uh, yeah, this guy has gone back over there and has continued to eat crow for like 2 years. Everything he says, he's had to walk a lot of it back, and I feel like this is the last. This is the last big spoonful of crow you've got left for this guy after going on that podcast in 2014 and saying make Roman look strong. This is the last one. You're going to WrestleMania to make Roman look strong. I feel like that is definitely where this is heading. Um,
Absolutely.
That's definitely where this is heading. But the thing is, I do think this is still a big blockbuster match for them. They kind of had to stumble into it because Rollins got injured. It felt like this was going to be Rollins Roman,
Hmm.
but like I said, this is a pretty big blockbuster match. And if they do just book this as these guys have real, legitimate animosity, if you believe that at this point, because I certainly believe they had a conversation at this point. I don't
Oh
think
yeah.
it's just a matter of like he's still stewing over stuff he said about him on his podcast uh, 12 years ago. Um, but if you really lean into like their real animosity and like the real lore between them, you do have something interesting. But the problem continues to be the same with Roman Reigns. He got to be there. If he's not there, how do you build this match? Because that's the whole thing. You spent a whole month since Royal Rumble now relying on this Finn Balor feud because Roman is not there. You even had Punk say on Monday, "Hey, I don't like to talk about what ifs. Probably the big what if would be if Roman Reigns was here tonight. Of course, he's not. So
Look, and it's like, all right, are they gonna like are they building me up for the babyface part-time world champion? Like that just sounds weird. But like I can't picture Roman Reigns putting CM Punk over. Just no. It just seems so far like
it seems so far off because at the end of the day, even if you're not looking at it the way I'm looking at it, like Punk is going back over there and had to roll
yeah.
back a lot of stuff he said. This is still CM Punk going up against their guy. They don't want Punk to beat their guy. It's just not gonna happen. I just don't see it happening in any way. And boy, I will have all the egg on my face. I will come back and say I was wrong if that happens. But boy, I just don't believe that.
Yeah.
And at this point, like the real big test here is because Roman isn't the same Roman he was 10 years ago. Roman can actually hang in a promo with Punk. You can actually do interesting segments with this. But you've got to get to it. And if you're just going to do these like segments where we get them every 3 weeks or a month apart, that's not that interesting. Like you've got to actually do something interesting week to week with these guys. And that's going to be the real challenge after this pay-per-view.
So I think the WWE, the default WWE fan, is rooting for Roman Reigns here for sure,
Absolutely.
and they are hearing the things about Roman never being there, and they're like, "So we like
They
that."
don't care.
They're like, "We like that, like about him, like there's no opportunities to fuck him up. There's like." It seems like the absence makes the heart grow fonder type thing. Roman just
Yeah.
comes off as above everyone, right?
Yeah.
It just seems like a really weird feud. Like as you mentioned, they're calling this shit back from the podcast, which people talk about how, and I listen to you guys talk about it. I kind of feel similarly how hard he made Roman Reigns' life, right? And it's like, okay, man, like maybe it got marginally tougher. You still had the push from God himself,
Absolutely.
like, and like, you know, did you have to fight uphill against the reactions? Yes, but also, who? Look at all the other people that were in the picture. Daniel Bryan at the time. Later, AJ Styles, but at that point they started bringing two belts back, separating people. People like Seth Rollins as an alternative, like yourself. Like Ambrose was always there, kind of on the other side of Roman, but all these people systematically just they got picked off one by one, kind of, right? And not through necessarily any fault of Roman's. It's just like they were ensuring Roman was they were he got an escort to the top of the company, like
Yeah.
he got a police what's the word I'm looking for, police escort to the top of the company. So you know
Yeah.
if they didn't push him so incorrectly, maybe CM Punk's words wouldn't have been as effective.
But that has always been the thing I think is hilarious about that podcast and people that were so mad at Punk afterwards. Yeah, Punk did not help matters. Yes, Punk made it marginally harder for him, but people were already starting to reject Punk before that. I mean, reject Roman before that podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Those words hit with people because they already felt that way. It just affirmed what they already knew. When he talked about how he needed to put him over strong in that TLC match, they already knew. That's why they believed him. So he can say what he wants, but that feeling was already there in the fan base. He just affirmed it. And so the other part here that I think is very funny. This just isn't the same WWE audience. This isn't the same rebellious WWE audience. This isn't the same audience that rejected Roman.
They don't care about the shoot shit.
They don't care about that. This fan base loves Roman. They don't care.
They might not even been there.
Exactly. Some of these fans were not there, and they don't understand what fans rejected about Roman back then. So when Roman does that backstage thing where he's walking around and he was like, "I had to take this. I earned this. I had to take this from all of these legends." They believe him. They weren't there, and so they don't know that that's cap.
Right, right.
They believe him.
Look, good on Roman. Lot of them niggas. Like, I don't
Exactly.
Right.
So, bro, they were there for the 4-year reign. They don't care about none of that. Some of them only know of Roman being on top, being the top draw for this company, being tribal chief and all of these things. So all of this stuff that Punk is saying, it don't really hit like it would have hit 5 years ago. Or
I was going to say,
ago.
is this just a case of like, there's just been so much time they're trying to make up for where it's like just way more ineffective than it would have been?
Yeah, I think the only thing at this point that remains effective, because coming into it, I was worried. I was like, how do you build a feud for a title that Roman has already told everybody it's a second place trophy? He's already told you he don't care about that trophy. Why would he challenge for that trophy?
Also, CM Punk is a babyface. Doesn't it feel like there's only so far he would be kind of allowed to go on Roman Reigns, like as far as like the things that he can say about him that could potentially damage Roman? Like, I felt like Punk should have just turned heel and then did it. But, Punk is like, I think Punk's very locked into being a babyface. Like,
yeah, I don't think he's turning heel either. But at the very least, it kind of feels like Roman is like doing tweener stuff here, and that's what they're trying to bank on. But even that doesn't necessarily work with the dynamic you're going for. But yeah, it just feels like the only thing you really got here is that if you know enough about these two guys, Roman does not like Punk. And that's what makes it feel real, quote unquote, is that Roman hates this guy because he's been throwing shots at him since 2021. So that's what you've got to hang your hat on. But again, you've got to make the week-to-week stuff really stick. And if that stuff doesn't really sell you on this match, they're in trouble because, like I said, I think you had an easy match to sell, like I said, 5 years ago. Even 2021, you had an easy match to sell. But now it's a little bit tougher. And yeah, it's just hard to get past this schedule with Roman, man.
And
what
think
are you
about
gonna
it.
do?
It's like Punk, you're showing up every week. You're doing your quote unquote half of the promo and everything. And think about what you leave with. You leave with no belt at the end of the day, and then you leave out of the here still as a babyface, and it's like you just, it's just it feels nasty. Like as far
Yeah.
as like I like it's amazing why you look at like the only like heel that's factored in near the top is Drew McIntyre, right? I feel like WWE is like terrified to really turn people heel because they want this babyface promotion. They want the love. They want, or Paul Levesque wants to be hailed as this genius. And, if you got heels like muddying things up, it's just not as clean for them. Them with this babyface versus babyface dynamic. And then, as you mentioned, the story that doesn't probably resonate with this crowd. I wonder how the effect on that is the ticket sales plus a return to Vegas plus the increased prices. It just seems like a recipe for less success.
Yeah. But like I said, this is probably the biggest match you've got with the wrestlers you have right now. The fact that the ticket sales are what they are for this match and like all the lore around it. I mean, this is Las Vegas. This is Punk coming into Las Vegas where he famously cut the pipe bomb. You got so many things around this. I don't know, but the first time I got my inkling that this is just a different company and Punk is just in a different land, he's in a different place in his career, is the Cena feud, and Cena cut his faux pipe bomb, and people were like, Cena has a point. I was like, oh, we've completely jumped the shark.
we turned this over.
We've completely jumped the shark because people were like, Cena has a point. I'm like, bro, that is not what was said in 2011.
Yeah. Yeah, there's yeah, the new they've got a Triple H loves to shoot shit. I'm sure Punk loves to shoot shit. Roman is almost as far away from one of these shooty type characters as there is. What did he like? What's his defining thing? Is the bloodline. Like that's they're related and shit, but it was kind of cartoony and goofy about their relationships and stuff like that. And ultimately, he was just a heel champion, right? It was very pro wrestling.
Yes.
This is like if they want to do the feud how CM Punk wants to do it, they've got to commit. It feels like they're half stepping. Like it feels like they want to allude to the stuff, but they don't want to rip the Band-Aid off all the way because it might not benefit them to rip the Band-Aid off. But you can't. It seems like Punk doesn't want to play in necessarily WWE land either here. So
yeah,
it's just a difficult match to book.
Yeah, I think the interesting stuff they did in that promo is stuff that you wouldn't have caught if you don't know enough about the Art of Wrestling podcast, these guys' history together. You might have just thought like, oh, well, why did he say that? Like, it's just kind of like, but it has to be things that you already knew ahead of time. And some fans currently are just not going to understand what they're alluding to. Like, Punk coming out there and walking right past him and going, yeah, I want this Finn Balor match. Where's Finn at? Yeah, because that's been his point for the past 21 since 2021, since he's come back to wrestling. Oh, that guy's still talking about me. I've moved on. Why is he still talking about me?
Yeah.
Why do you still need to talk about me? You're the man. Why are you worried about me? You're worried about what people might think because of something I said on a podcast 12 years ago? You still emotional about that?
Like, you mad?
Yeah, or him saying you learned from me, which was his initial point from that podcast of being like, oh, I didn't want Liaki, but they wanted Liaki, but it's fine. He can come and learn from me. And so some of those things, they were direct references from that podcast, but some people might just not have caught them.
Look, some people might have actually been so angry in their love for the World Wrestling Federation that they've never even bothered to listen to that podcast because it would just hurt them so much. Yeah. So they're catching secondhand information off this. They built it up in their head how bad it is, but don't know those specifics. Shout out to my man Montezzi in the comments. Says salute, great work, love y'all, much love, Teasy. Shout out to Teasy.
Yeah, for sure. There's some of that.
Yeah, they're like,
but yeah, if you're like me, and when that came out, and at the time it came out, I've listened to that podcast multiple times. So there's certain parts of it I can quote verbatim, and so there were parts of that promo that I was like, oh, I know exactly what he's doing. But it's so inside baseball for people, and it's so slow, and it took so long to get to the point. Some people might have missed bits of it, but to your point, if you're going to get to this, you got to get to like the meat of what these two guys really hate about each other. You can't like skim across the surface. You can't be afraid to like get into it. You can't do these cookie cutter promos. You got to get into it. If you're not going to do that, why are we doing this feud?
Sell some fucking tickets. CM Punk, you always talk about you can talk him into the building, right? Let's see it. Like, let's see it.
Yeah. I feel like he's got so much material, and I think that's the thing that's funny because people again love Roman now, so it's different. But I feel like he's got a ton of material. I think he could look around like, wait a minute, he's still whining about this podcast.
Yeah, it's tough, man.
That podcast hurt Punk more than it hurt you. Like this guy, I don't know.
Yeah, it's wild, man. But yeah, I guess that'll we can leave it there on those guys. And I'm looking at my list